The month of January has almost come and gone. Can you believe how fast 2024 is going already? Before we jump into Patriots today, come on, guys. Clock's ticking, and we got to get more subscribers than Giants now this month. So if you want daily coverage of the New England Patriots, subscribe today. Let's win this competition. I'll tell you what. If we do, Rolly and I will do a beer bong race live on the show on our first February episode if we beat Giants now. So go ahead and hit that sub button. Here's what we got cooked up here on Patriots Today. Could New England trade for Mike Williams to get that big-time receiver in town? Plus, the latest on the offensive coordinator search is interview requests and rumors continue to circulate. We'll dive into that as well. Let's start with Mike Williams here, as the Chargers are in a bit of cap hell. Bleacher Report listed Williams as someone the Patriots should trade for, and before we get to what they said, basically, long story short, they're likely going to have to cut either him or Keenan Allen, and if they had to choose, I feel like they'd probably choose Mike Williams, so maybe they try to trade for him. You could buy low on a trade. Here's what Bleacher Report had to say. They said finding a number one receiver should be an offseason goal as well for New England. Targeting Mike Williams would make some sense. He is recovering from an ACL tear that he suffered last season, but he has two 1,000-yard seasons on his resume and would probably be the best true outside receiver they've had in years. You look at what he's done recently, and his biggest issues throughout his career have been injuries, but before this past season, he had actually mostly stayed healthy, which is a positive sign. I do agree he'd be the most talented outside big body receiver they've had in a while. And Rolly, there's some risk here with Mike Williams, but like I said, he could be a cut candidate. Maybe you throw like a fourth or a fifth so you don't have to compete with teams in free agency. Could be worth a shot in the dart here.
Nah, listen, Mike Williams has all the talent in the world, right? He's one of those guys that can just be someone you throw the ball up to, because he doesn't have to be open all of the time. He can get open, but he is so big and such a good contested catch guy. He is probably a way better version of what you thought you could get when you traded that third-round pick to the Dolphins for DeVante Parker a couple years back. But you mentioned the injury history, and that is a serious concern. Back in 2017, he had a disc hernia in his back, 19 lower back spasms. 2020, he had a shoulder sprain and a hamstring sprain, ankle sprain in 22, and then obviously tore his ACL in week 3 of the NFL season this year. And the biggest issue I have in terms of his injury history, at least, it's not really an issue, but it's not the ACL, because people come back from ACL all the time. He has a long history of back injuries, and that is what is the most concerning to me. It's not the knee, it's not the ankle, it is his long history with his back. Because if he could stay healthy, he would be a true wide receiver one this team hasn't had in a long time. The only question is, can he stay on the field? You're not getting a full 17 every year. You can guarantee that.
Yeah, what would be interesting, too, is if they did trade for him. He is in the last year of his contract. I would assume you'd want to, do a 2-year extension or something like that to, A, potentially lower the cap hit this year so you can still spend a lot in free agency, and B, I don't view trading for a receiver of his caliber as a rental idea based on where the Patriots are currently. Like, I could see a win-now team doing that, but, not a uptick type of team like New England is. Sure, they're going to try and win, but they're not ready to win a Super Bowl. So if it's a non-Super Bowl winning team like New England, you would think you'd want to keep him there for at least a couple of years. So I'm intrigued. I don't know what the cost would be. I wouldn't give up more than a third, and frankly, I don't even know if I'd give up a third. I'd probably offer a fourth or a fifth, say take it or leave it, because, again, based on the Chargers cap situation, they either have to extend him or cut him. And so if they trade low on him, that could be the best scenario for both parties, both them, Mike Williams, and whoever is trading for him. Would you trade for him? Would you trade for Mike Williams? Type T for trade or P for pass. Let us know in the comment section down below what you guys would do. Now you look at Williams' contract and cap status with the Chargers. I do want to make clear, Rolly, if the Patriots or any other team were to trade for Williams, his cap hit for that team, talking about New England, would not be 32.4. It would be the base salary plus any roster bonuses. I don't have the roster bonuses in front of me, but usually it's a couple $1,000,000. So you're probably looking at 17 to 20 million bucks for New England if they took on that cap hit. And if they extended him, that could even lower that number.
Yeah, and I just wanted to illustrate the numbers here on screen because you see that cap hit. That's obviously, as you mentioned, not what New England would take on if they traded for him, but that's what the Chargers are on the hook for.
That outlines their problems, yeah.
Yeah, so it really just proves to you guys and everybody else in the NFL that there is a high possibility Los Angeles looks to either trade him or cut him because of their cap issues. They're probably not wanting to spend $32.4 million at their cap space this year on a wide receiver too with injury issues. So there is a high possibility he is going to be cut or traded. And as you mentioned, could the Patriots swoop in and not really have to bid with other teams and just buy low on him? Because I don't think his trade value is going to be high. You don't think his trade value is going to be high. So they could get him for 4th, 5th, and you have a true potential wide receiver one coming in at a low cost potentially.
And let's be real. If Mike Williams gets cut, he's probably not signing with New England. He's probably signing a 1-year deal with the Super Bowl contender. So, if you want him, if you want to get your hands on him and extend him, you're going to have to trade for him. So, I'm open to it on a day 3 pick. I mean, sure, I'd rather have a T. Higgins or something like that, but he's going to cost a lot more, not only in a trade, because I expect him to get franchise tag, but also in terms of paying him a salary long term. So I don't think it would cost a lot via trade. 4th, 5th round pick is probably what you're looking at. And if I'm the Chargers, I'm probably looking toward keeping Keenan Allen and dumping Mike Williams. So I think it's possible. I think he's gettable if you're in New England. And, you pair him with someone you draft maybe on day 2 of the draft to pair with a rookie quarterback you're expected to take number 3 overall. That's a decent way to kind of quick track an offensive rebuild there. So I certainly am open to it. Now, speaking of the offense, 2 new names have been added to the offensive coordinator search. Rolly and I will get you caught up on where things sit there as Jerod Mayo looks to figure out who's going to guide his offense moving forward. But first, do want to remind you guys, we do have these awesome hats plus a whole lot more available on sale right now at chatsports.com/patshats. Check that link out in the comments and in the description. You got beanies, you got the flat bills, you got the curve bills, mesh, fitted, non-fitted, whatever you want, we got them available. Chatsports.com/patshats. Link is in the comments and in the description. Click and shop today. Get yourself a Patriots lid. All right, Rolly. Scott Turner, who's been the Raiders pass game coordinator, son of Norv Turner, one of the better offensive minds.
2 sons here,
to ever run through the sport. And then, yes, Klint Kubiak, the son of Gary Kubiak. Gary Kubiak and Norv Turner, I would say, 2 of the better offensive minds of the prior generation of coaches in this league. Klint Kubiak, I think, a little more proven than Scott Turner, but guys who obviously have learned from some pretty good ones. So you get those 2 guys in the mix for this OC search.
Yeah, I'm very excited that they interviewed Klint Kubiak. I'm not really that moved by Scott Turner, but you mentioned he has good family history, at least with his dad being one of the better offensive minds. But Klint Kubiak is someone that I've wanted the New England Patriots to interview and potentially hire for a long time. I think going into this process, once we officially knew they were going to have to find a replacement for Bill O'Brien, my 2 top guys were Zach Robinson and Klint Kubiak. Those were my guys. And listen, obviously Zach Robinson went to Atlanta to join Raheem Morris on that Falcons staff.
Yeah.
But I want Klint Kubiak, man. I think Kubiak is someone that I'd really be intrigued by. We mentioned Jerod Johnson on yesterday's show outlining the updated OC interview list. Now we have another
interview request.
Yeah, interview request. And now they've officially tried to interview 11 guys. 3 of them have been hired. But now there's the 8 guys here that is the full list that the Patriots could still sign or hire, I should say. Turner and Kubiak joined the list, but you had Brian Fleury and Tanner Ingstred join this list just a couple days ago, and now you got 2 more additions that Kubiak could really be a good one to hire, man.
Yeah, he really stands out to me. And quite frankly, I look at this list. I'm New England. I will gamble and wait till the Super Bowl's over for Klint Kubiak. What are you worried about missing out on Scott Turner? Thomas Brown is highly regarded, but he's not really proven as a play caller.
I'm not a fan of what Carolina did this year. I said this yesterday.
Yeah.
I'd stay away.
I will say this with Thomas Brown. I want to give him a little bit of a fair shake here. He gets thrown in to that Frank Reich's situation, and Reich's offense is completely different than Thomas Brown coming over from a McVay offense. So, like, he's trying to call Frank Reich's playbook with no skill play. Like, I'm not saying he'd be my top guy. I'm just saying there's a reason he's getting a lot of interviews because he is highly regarded. But I look back at that list and, like, it's Kubiak to me, man. Like, if you get after the Super Bowl and he goes elsewhere, so be it. I don't think I think Nick Caley is willing to wait this out. Like, is Luke Getsy going to go somewhere else? Like, there are guys here where it's just like, I'll wait if I'm New England, man. Based on your interview list, I'm not worried about, well, we got to wait 13 more days for the 49ers to get out of the Super Bowl. Hey, guess what? They're in the Super Bowl. That means he's a part of a pretty good staff that's doing good things. Like, okay, maybe Jerod Johnson's the one guy I'm willing to take a look at, but he's never called plays before. Like, the one thing I get a little wary about with what this staff is putting together is, do you want both your coordinators to be first-time play callers? It's a little nervy. That way, if you can get a guy like Kubiak in here and pair him with a young quarterback that he can help groom, say what you want about Brock Purdy, you got to think he's had some influence there. That's appealing to me, Rolly. I think it's worth the wait to wait this out. I know you can't officially hire him until after the Super Bowl, but if I'm New England, I'm telling Kubiak and his camp, hey, until you tell us you're not coming, we're willing to wait this thing out through the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree, and it kind of brings us to this question. Is like, you saw that 8-name list. Who do you want as Patriots OC in 2024? Let us know down in the comment section. I do want to make note, Harrison, that it is, at least as of now, Nick Caley is the quote-unquote favorite to be the Patriots offensive coordinator in 2024. Obviously, they're still doing their due diligence and looking at some other guys, but Caley at least is in the lead as of now.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Or let me read this, then I'll get your thoughts on that. Here's Mike Reese saying, Caley, longtime Patriots tight ends coach, interviewed for OC job a couple years ago, viewed to be well-positioned to lead the offense. Look, you know him and his role in this team better than I do. He's been there for a long time. I'll give my initial reaction first. Again, I know he's been there a while. I know Mayo probably has a relationship with him. But again, I just get wary of all of these first-time guys. First-time head coach, first-time DC, first-time OC, especially when it comes to calling plays. Like, I'm not saying he can't be a good offensive coordinator. I'm saying, hey, we like you a lot. We're going to wait and hear from Klint Kubiak first. That's kind of my mindset with it.
Yeah, no, I don't hate Caley, though. I'll be honest. I was a little skeptical of it first because of how long he spent in the Patriots organization. But I do think the year spent with Sean McVay in Los Angeles as their tight end coach, that could be very valuable because you bring Caley back. Well, maybe now you get a blend of the old Patriots offense, but way more new ideas from that Sean McVay type of offense. And now you create a perfect blend. And we showed the quote yesterday, if you watched that video from Dante Scarnecchia, that talked about the importance of a tight end coach because that position group has to be in the meetings of the passing game and the running game. So you're getting the best of both worlds where the tight end coach understands what has to be done on the up front, but also has to be done out wide to create an effective play, whether it be a pass or run play. So I don't hate the idea of going tight ends coach if that's the route you want to go because they know the full scope of the offense and know everybody's assignments on each specific play. It's just all about can they make the right adjustments in the middle of the game and be a good play caller, to your point, Harrison.
So would you go, just picking your brain here, Kubiak 1, Caley 2? To go Jerod Johnson?
I think Jerod Johnson is my number 2. I'd put Caley at 3, but I think those are a solid top 3 if I'm going to be honest. Once Zach Robinson fell off the board, it really didn't feel like there was anyone crazy good out there that I wanted outside of Kubiak. But you remember this, Harrison. We were talking, not even on the show, just in the office here at Chat Sports. Like, I've always been a guy that wanted Klint Kubiak because I thought he did a really good job in San Francisco. I love their passing game designs. You see it with Brock Purdy. Obviously, they have a ton of good weapons.
Did well with Kirk Cousins in Minnesota.
It's a really good system that they have in place over there. I think he'd be able to develop a good young quarterback well. Yeah,
no doubt. I'm with you. Kubiak would be my top guy. We'll see how it all plays out. Should be interesting. Don't miss out on any of it. Subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/Patriots Today. He's Nick Roloff. I'm Harrison Graham. We'll see you guys tomorrow.